said that to me.
Oh, it wasn't on. I thought it was on. Okay. Can you read that one more time?
I can't feel a thing when I wear a condom. It's like wearing a raincoat in the shower. The response would be like, "What? Have you ever wore a raincoat in the shower?" That would be my response.
Mm-hmm.
What does it feel like to have a raincoat on in the shower? But how do you know if you never tried it wearing the condom? Or how do you know if you never had a raincoat on in the shower?
Yeah, that's probably one of those more common ones. The complaints that it's not as stimulating or satisfying. Um, I think young people may want to realize that it's eventually they'll realize that it's the whole experience, and I just think people have to stand their ground. Here's one that's very similar that I have here. Condoms are unnatural, fake, a total turnoff. So if I were met with that opposition, I would have to just explain to the person that because of my beliefs and my boundaries, if we're not going to have safe sex, we are going to have no sex at all, especially not intercourse. Maybe we'll just have to limit our intimacy until that person makes a decision, because I'm not going. So we have to, stand our ground. What's another opposition?
You're on the pill. I don't need a condom.
Mm.
My response to that would be, yes, I am on the pill, but because I'm on the pill, it doesn't stop me from getting HIV and STIs.
Very good. Some young people do get confused. There's more to the story than just pregnancy prevention. Next, another one.
I won't have sex with you if you're going to use a condom. That's something that normally people don't really say. Because normally, who would say that? It's using it to be protected. But I don't see where a young girl would say that. Or a young man would say that. I ain't gonna do it. If you gonna use a condom, I don't see what they would say, I'm not going to.
Right. And obviously somebody must have come up with that. I can't imagine anyone who would be that adamant to, unless they had ulterior motives, unless they were focusing on trying to get pregnant, or I've heard stories that there have been people in the past who, out of malicious vengeance, because they contracted some STIs or HIV, had made it their mission to vindicate themselves by spreading the virus to others. So when we come up against that kind of resistance, I would definitely question that person's motives. Oh, I've got one here that says, by the time you put it on, I'm out of the mood. Well, I believe that if you're ready to get intimate with someone at that level, you've had enough conversation and know that person well enough and are really into that person that you will both make a conscious effort to make the practice of safety a mutual effort, and it shouldn't kill the mood. Got another one?
None of my other girlfriends use condoms. A real man doesn't use condoms.
Ding, 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 ding. I think that's the red hot.
Yeah, this is the red flag, totally. Only if you're listening, though, will you catch it. Because it says, none of my other girlfriends use condoms. A real man doesn't use condoms. So for me, definitely a red flag with the other girlfriends. And
Woo.
the word a real man doesn't use condoms, that's a red flag for me also. So I definitely would not be giving him any of my goods. Absolutely not.
First off, he's having intimate relationships with other women and not protecting himself.
That's key.
So he definitely is a high risk. And if his manhood is dependent upon him having intercourse without protecting himself, we also realize that he may be a little challenged intellectually, and he might be a good candidate for our next sharp group.
Absolutely.
So if he's a friend, invite him. Oh, do we have any more?
I'll lose my erection by the time I stop and pull it out.
Wait, say that again?
I'll lose my erection by the time I stop and pull it out.
Oh, pull out the condom. Okay, probably, I'm assuming.
So, would you rather lose it or take a chance on getting pregnant or getting contracting STD?
So that's what you would bring to that
Yeah.
individual. That's a good response.
But wait, I can help you put it on.
Bingo!
You don't have to worry about that part.
It is important in our condom demonstration. We talked about being able to communicate with one another and ask that person, you know, would you like me to put it on? Because we take time to learn the skills to learn how to put them on correctly. So,
And a lot of men like that.
and it can be part of the foreplay. Yep, that will help keep the mood going and the erotic experience. So,
But playing devil's advocate, a lot of men don't like that.
for the woman to put it on for him?
Yeah, he would prefer to put it on himself, thinking that maybe she might try to trap him with getting pregnant.
Ah.
So
We had a young man who brought that to the table once.
he did. We had a whole conversation about that. And he said he specifically prefer to put his own condom on.
Okay, all right.
But he does use them.
That's, yep, very good. And a wise man, you know, he is. Because, yeah, once you take control, he's just as interested in protecting himself as well as his partner. Because that's what we hope to instill in each individual that participates in the program. It's about self-care. It's about having enough courage to set your boundaries and keep them, and knowing that communication is key. And if you can't talk to the person that you are getting ready to be intimate with, maybe it's too early in the game to engage in that level of intimacy. So yeah, it's great to have a strong man who wants to take control. Mhm. So those are my three. Anybody else got another one?
I have one more.
Okay.
I know I'm clean, disease-free. I haven't had sex with anyone in 6 months.
Mm. How do you respond to that?
Well, I know I am.
Mm-hmm.
As a person individually, I know that I am clean. So I would respond to that by saying, I don't know that you're clean. I'm not doubting that you're clean, but I would feel more secure with us both going to the clinic and coming to realize that both of us are clean. And if both of us are clean and I decide that I want to have sex with you, then we can go from there. But I would not take the chance on believing you said you haven't had sex in 6 months with anyone. I wouldn't be comfortable with that.
Mm-hmm. Empowerment. I'd like to also think that, sometimes people really believe that there's a certain look that someone would have if they were infected with an STI. And because they associate a infection with cleanliness as in soap and water, or that a person who has an infection is going to look a certain type of way. If we look back at our earlier part of our program when we watched those videos, that very first video, that young woman who was a virgin was being courted by a young man, a college student with a nice car, and gave her nice gifts and was good looking. And so he didn't look like HIV. And so her lack of knowledge allowed her to put herself in a real vulnerable situation, because that was the very one out of the other two girls who had been sexually active. She was the one who ended up taking that risk and becoming infected on the first time that she gave up her virginity. And he just definitely didn't look like HIV. So we have to really erase that notion that STIs and HIV virus has some certain look. Anyone. It's not who you are, it's what you do. And in this day and age, HIV virus has been a problem in our communities for over 20 years. There are young people who are even actually born with the virus at this point, because we're like second and third generation in since HIV has become a pandemic. And what we want to do is educate ourselves, because there's no particular look, and sometimes it's not that you've even done anything wrong, but learning to live with the virus and be honest and open with potential partners. So it's all about education, and the ability to talk to people and get to know them before we decide to get to that level of intimacy. So I think this is going to go really well at the end of the sessions, and find out what our students have learned and retained. And when we talk about being assertive, passive, assertive, and aggressive in maintaining our boundaries to protect our health. So thanks, ladies, for helping me go through this curriculum and find out how we can make sure that our next presentation has the right impact and that we cover all our bases. Okay. Well, good night. Check yourself. Health and wellness. Wash your hands regularly, wear your mask, and social distance.